everyone, welcome to Married with Wrestling. I am Susan, and this is Chris, and we are here to talk about all things WWE, AEW, and NXT.
You always forget NXT.
I made sure I didn't forget NXT this time.
Okay, so we'll start with WWE, and we'll be honest, it wasn't a super eventful week. I mean, stuff happened, but it wasn't nothing stopped the presses. So let's start with SummerSlam. So SummerSlam card's taking shape, which it should be. SummerSlam's in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So the matches that we have confirmed so far, we have Cody versus Solo, which a lot of people think is going to be kind of a boring match. And there's probably going to be standard bloodline stuff happen. I don't think Cody's losing the title. The most exciting part about this match, which is really sad, is what's going to happen after and how Cody's going to retain. Because nobody thinks Solo's taking Cody's title.
No.
The question is he going to be helped out by Jimmy? Is he going to be helped out by Roman? Or is he going to be helped out by both?
Yeah.
Honestly, what I see happening is Jimmy helping Cody to retain and Solo and the Bloodline beating them down, and then Roman comes out. I don't think Roman will participate in the actual match.
No, I don't think so either.
And I feel like I feel like it's going to be funny that the thing that got him off the couch is when they tried to kill Paul Heyman. I think that's going to be what's funny.
Yeah.
So we have that confirmed. As of this week, Rhea Ripley returned, and she's challenging Liv Morgan at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Now, I have a little idea about what's going to happen in this match.
Okay.
Because her and Dom reconciled on Raw, which is pretty uneventful.
Also have Jey Uso.
Yeah, Jey Uso's trying to make the moves, and he won. But the show ended by Rhea Ripley telling Dom, I don't belong to anybody, you belong to me.
Yeah, because Dom was talking about how she belonged to him. And I am sorry, Rhea Ripley is not somebody...
In Dom's defense, Damian Priest started him down that
Rhea
track.
Ripley is not somebody that belongs to anybody.
No, and she said that. But here's what I'm thinking. That reconciliation for all of that months of stuff going on, that reconciliation was way too easy. I'm kind of thinking Dom's going to try to help Rhea keep the title, and he's going to screw it up, and Liv's going to keep the title, and we're going to keep that conflict going.
Yeah.
I hope something like that happens, because all of that conflict, for it to be resolved in one episode of Raw, no, I want more drama than that.
I don't think it's over yet, because Liv Morgan keeps commenting on Dom's stuff, and
Yeah. So we'll see, but that's what I think might happen, is Dom's going to accidentally help Liv retain. So the other matches we have confirmed for SummerSlam, we have LA Knight and Logan Paul is now confirmed, because Logan Paul signed the contract last night. I do too. Last night was a pretty good promo battle between the two. There's a lot of people that think that Logan Paul kind of got the advantage. But I think Logan Paul goes into promos with advantages anyway, because...
How did Logan Paul get the advantage?
Because Logan Paul can cut deeper. LA Knight could have gone in about how Logan Paul's a scammer and a crypto and can't go to Japan because of his little video escapade, but nobody seems to be allowed to call out Logan Paul on that stuff. So I'm kind of thinking Logan Paul's say whatever you want, just don't hurt my image. And I think that gives him an advantage a lot against his opponents in promo battles.
I've never really liked his promos though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And my dislike of Logan Paul was even amped more now, so I'm having a hard time seeing past him as a person to the wrestler this week.
Yeah. You're having trouble separating the art from the artist this week?
Yeah.
That's understandable. He's taken his persona up to 11 outside of the ring.
Yeah.
And he's putting his face in a lot of places that are less desirable to most people. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, to me.
To you. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So that match is going to be official. I agree with you, and most of the internet agrees also. LA Knight cannot get that title off of Logan Paul fast enough. Because Logan Paul's had it 250 days to defended it twice. Roman defends it a quicker clip than that.
Yeah.
So we need to get the SmackDown title back on back on SmackDown, not NXT. Because I would agree with something that I read last night, that ever since Logan Paul got the U.S. title, the mid-card on SmackDown feels kind of dead. There's nothing for them to fight for, because Logan Paul's never there with the title. It usually takes somebody having initiative to go challenge him, like LA Knight did.
I hate how WWE gives people the belt, but they don't do anything with it.
They give it to part-timers?
Yes. does.
Yeah,
I hate that.
I agree with that. The only time I feel like they felt like it worked enough with Brock Lesnar that they want to do it with more people. Roman had a good story. If Roman didn't have a good story, which for part of the time he didn't, the Bloodline just kind of treaded water.
Yeah.
After the Sami Zayn stuff, before the Cody stuff picked up.
Yeah.
Sometimes the story's not even there to justify it, and it feels like these guys are on TV fighting for nothing.
Yeah.
And it's always SmackDown that suffers. Raw's people are always there all the time, and they have the longer show.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I guess that makes sense, because you can hide a world title not being there, or a mid-card title not being there on a shorter show.
Yeah.
Raw, because when Brock Lesnar had it, we noticed on Raw, if people weren't fighting for the Intercontinental title, what the hell else were they doing? There's nothing else to fight for. So hopefully that will happen. Hopefully LA Knight will take that title, because we got to get LA Knight some gold. We've got to. He's long overdue for some gold.
Yeah.
And the last match so far that's been confirmed is Bayley and Nia Jax. And this one, Bayley is pulling the card out a lot from You Hurt Me in 2017. Mm-hmm. And I've seen last night's promo, Bayley was talking about how Nia was clumsy and reckless. And I saw that there was a lot of people that had issue with that promo because they were like, it's breaking the fourth wall too much. Like, you're in a world where you're fighting, like, wouldn't hurting your opponent be the goal? But I also saw the argument that people came out with, and they were like, yeah, but boxers just win the fight. They don't aim to take the boxer out of contention forever.
People have got to get over the fourth wall shit. Like, I see people post online all the time where it's like, don't break kayfabe.
You know,
we know wrestling. We know that wrestling's all kayfabe, guys.
You know where
what matters if they freaking break it.
You know where a lot of that comes from, don't you?
Undertaker.
No, I mean, like, the person that has the most problem with fourth wall breaking. Like,
I don't know.
It's Cornette.
Well, the people that love Cornette, I mean...
Yeah. So those are the 4 matches we have for SummerSlam so far. I would imagine we're going to get Gable doing something with the Wyatt Six. Mm-hmm. Maybe against Bo Dallas. I don't know. But what I do know is that I severely underestimated Rowan. Not Roman, Rowan.
Yeah.
He was the subject of the VHS tape this week. He cut like a really like heartfelt promo, and you forget that, like, even when at one point he said, like, everybody just sees me as just Rowan. And it's like, oh my god, yeah, they kind of do.
So I love what the Wyatt Six is doing, and I honestly think it's my social work background. Because, listen, hear me out. Because we had that whole tragedy happen with Bray Wyatt, and now we're literally hearing people's, like, how they cope with that. How did they feel during that?
Well, Rowan...
How are they coming back from that?
Rowan
what
even
are their thoughts?
Rowan even brought up Brody Lee.
I love it. Because as a social worker, I'm getting the background. I'm learning the why, how, when. Like, I'm learning all of that stuff, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
And I think it's very real. I know some people don't like this story. They feel like they're, I don't know, banking off of the tragedy. But coming from a social work perspective, these are real human emotions that you feel, that you would feel. You would. It's human nature. If you're doing something that you think is going great and something bad happened, why can't you continue that? Why can't you capitalize off that? Like, I don't know. I guess I'm going to say a heel remark. You just don't understand emotions.
I think with the Wyatt Six stuff, I think they've done a good job of explaining the motivations without having to cut an in-ring promo. Like, this is a good way to get across what's going on without Bo Dallas coming out and being like, we're all upset because of da-da-da.
Yeah.
It plays into what's going on.
And, like, I like it. And I really think it just comes from my social work background, because I love to know why do people do what they do? Like, what happened in a person's life to make them do the things they're doing? And they're giving that to me in their promos. So I love it.
Yeah. It's definitely, most of the comments that I see like it and want to see where it's going. Now this week, Chad Gable did team up with the Creeds, which is something that a lot of people speculated for a long time.
Yeah.
And it definitely seems like the way that they took out Bo Dallas, that they are kind of leaning heel with Gable.
Yeah.
So I imagine at some point we're going to get some kind of match with the Creeds against Alpha Academy to kind of cement the Creeds. Kind of sucks because I don't know what they're going to do with Alpha Academy after that. They built Otis up to be this giant babyface, and I feel like they didn't really
think of what happens after
that, and they didn't really give him the satisfaction of like facing Gable in a match. And I feel like if they try to do it now, they're striking after the iron was already hot and it cooled off.
So basically, what you're saying is this is a rare misstep in recent time for WWE.
I think what happens is where Tony Khan will book something quickly, like kind of blows his load a little early. I think sometimes Triple H has a tendency to hold off longer than he should.
He likes long-term story booking.
He does, but I don't think Alpha Academy is something that needed the long-term story treatment. I feel like that was a adjust the story, strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
I think that's when you could make that adjustment. That's not Cody finishing his story or Solo overtaking Roman Reigns' position. It's not a long-winded story like that. It's something that, okay, the crowd's feeling this, let's strike now.
Yeah.
Because I think if they try to go back and do it, I feel like the moment's passed. Because we haven't had Otis out in front of a crowd for a few weeks. Mm-hmm. And I think they really missed the opportunity to do it probably at Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
But, like you said, it's a pretty rare misstep. WWE doesn't have many missteps anymore.
Yeah.
But this one I would put down there. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. SummerSlam, I'm sure, is going to be great.
Yeah.
We would have loved to have gone, but, we need a double the salary to afford the tickets.
Yeah.
But should be a good show. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what happens.
Yes, I say we move on to the next show.
AEW, because AEW is building to it's their kind of their WrestleMania at this point. But they do it in the summer. All In. So AEW this week kind of went along. Mariah May came out and addressed what she did last week to Tony Storm.
I'm really loving their storyline.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Tony Storm's rebuttal. Yeah. I think it was wise to keep Tony off TV for a week to build that up. We're building to Blood and Guts, so we have our Blood and Guts teams. On the Elite side, we have the Bucks, we have Okada, we have Jack Perry, and we have Hangman. Hangman's not really there for the Elite. Hangman's just there because it gives him a reason to kill Swerve again.
And he's mad because he never wins.
Yeah, which I respect. I respect the fact that Adam
the dedication.
Page yeah, I do. I respect the dedication to revenge.
He already drank his blood, Hangman. What else do you want from him?
This is hard to tell. And Swerve's just like humming along, trying to have a good title reign. On the AEW side, you have Swerve, Darby Allin, Mark Briscoe, and the Acclaimed. Mm-hmm. Now, what I have seen online is they kind of feel like the AEW team's a little bit weak.
Why?
The Acclaimed.
They were tag team champs.
They were, but I don't know.
Who did they want then? If they're not happy with the Acclaimed, who would the internet pick?
I don't know. I really honestly don't know because...
It makes sense storyline, though, for the Acclaimed to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who else you would get for Blood and Guts.
So let me get this straight. Let me get this straight.
Mm-hmm. For
how long you've been complaining, not you, well, I guess kind of you, that there's no story, there was no direction, there was nothing in AEW. Mm-hmm. AEW then comes up for the past month, I'd say. They've had a story for basically everything that they show. Mm-hmm. But now everybody's mad because now Team AEW is too weak, even though it makes sense in the story that you've been wanting forever now.
I didn't say I had an issue with it.
I'm just saying let's just shut up and just watch it. Like, let's just give it a chance. Everybody's so negative.
Yeah. I mean, I guess... I don't know. I've seen the term heatless thrown around a lot. That it feels like there's not really... Well, Darby's included. Darby was almost killed in the last match, so I think there's enough heat there for Darby to be there.
There's no heat. Like, they literally have people that have stuff going on, issues on both sides. Like, how is that heatless?
I don't have an issue with it. I think the match will be fine.
I do too. I think that...
One of the things I saw that kind of got traction was people were like, why aren't the Blackpool Combat Club in it? Blackpool Combat Club's been in like the last
I'm ready for...
I'm ready for Jon Moxley to have a break.
I need a break from Blackpool Combat Club.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
I need a break.
I would agree with that.
But it's funny because weren't probably the same hypocrites.
And Bryan Danielson was in the last one.
Weren't the exact same potential hypocrites complaining because they said the Blackpool Combat Club was being used too much for things?
Probably.
All I know is that whenever I watch wrestling, you are my safety wrestling person. Like, you're the person I only like to watch wrestling with.
Oh, okay.
That's all I know, because everybody else infuriates me.
Well, moving on from Blood and Guts, Dynamite had MJF versus Ospreay this week, and it took up damn near the whole first hour of Dynamite. And we got a new international champion out of it. That surprised me. That MJF and Ospreay had an end result. Because I talked about it last week. I thought there was going to be some kind of messed up finish. Yeah. Something was going to happen to prevent that from going all the way. And I kind of worry that if they want to run this back, they've already set the bar too high. This probably should have been the final match in a series of matches between those two.
Yeah. You have to give me time to prep for an hour-long match. I don't have the attention span. It could be a great match. Their match was great. Mm-hmm. I cannot focus for that long on one match.
Well, you do get the prep for it. Every title match in AEW is a 60-minute time.
But it doesn't always go that long.
It doesn't.
I like to know. I think I found out like 2 hours before I watched it that it was going to be like an hour-long thing, and I was like, crap. Mm-hmm. You're convinced I have ADHD. That's me. I just can't focus for that long. Mm-hmm. But
you did okay. Well, you had prep time for MJF and Danielson's hour-long Iron Man match. Mm-hmm. You had prep time for that.
We were in person for Bryan Danielson Bryan Danielson and
Danny
Garcia's match.
That one was 30 minutes.
That was it? Mm-hmm. My God, I thought that was long. I was going to say, we were in person.
Yeah, because that was 2 out of 3 falls.
Oh, man, I struggled for that one. Mm-hmm. And we were even in person, and I felt like that one was a while.
I think that weighs on you with some of the stuff, too. How stories that take a long time.
Yeah.
So, I think Blood and Guts will be fun. I always look forward to Blood and Guts because it's a car crash match.
I mean, it's always fun. It's just, I like to see bleeding when it looks not overly dramatic. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? You
don't like to see people gushing blood.
Yeah, like if it makes sense for you to have but at the same time, okay, I love when women bleed like that though, mm-hmm. because for some reason in wrestling, people think women shouldn't bleed. Mm-hmm. So
well, speaking of women bleeding. There was a lot of people, Britt Baker attacked Mercedes Moné after her match against Nyla Rose. Because Britt was sitting in the crowd in a Sting mask. Yeah. And a lot of people were saying that's one of their favorite wrestling tropes is if you see somebody in the front row in a Sting mask and a black hoodie, that's not a fan. You even
pointed that out, too. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's cool. I thought it was somebody that had a Sting mask on.
No, they were looking way too, sneaky about it. Of course, it was Britt Baker.
Well, I saw him in the crowd, and I was like, "Oh man, that fan loves Sting." Mm-hmm. But yeah,
that was actually the first reference to Sting. The second reference to Sting was whenever Darby came down from the ceiling.
Well, that was the last thing.
Yeah, but that was still a Sting reference. That's how Sting used to come to the ring.
I thought you said Darby's was the first reference.
No, Darby's was the last one. Yeah.
That was fun for Darby.
Yeah, and I like that AEW got out there ahead of things, and they were like, yes, we got permission from Martha Hart. Don't think that we just did this willy-nilly.
They got permission from her?
Well, they ran it by Martha Hart because that's how Owen died.
I know.
Was a spot like that. So I'm glad that AEW got out in front of it and said, hey, before the rumor mill starts firing up, Martha Hart signed off that she was fine with this.
Oh, were people starting to talk about how they didn't?
I didn't see any conversations start to flare up, but I think it would have.
It's AEW can't do anything right.
Yeah, they do get a lot of flack for...
They can shit, and somebody will be like, you didn't shit the correct way. You didn't. You sat down while you went.
You didn't sell that shit.
No.
Yeah. And I think All In will be good. We're still building to All In. We have a couple matches. We've got Danielson and Swerve, which is going to be good. I imagine we're going to get the Bucks and the Acclaimed because we've been building that for a while.
Yes. Which is the story.
Yeah, I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Heatless asses.
Pac wants to be there. I don't know what Pac's going to do.
I don't know, but give Pac something to do.
Yeah. Daniel Garcia, I don't know if he's going to get something or not.
They have to give him something. That's so mean to be like, ooh, Danny, want to do this? Yeah, nope, you actually don't get to do this.
I've seen a couple places pitch the idea of Daniel Garcia, MJF, and Ospreay in a triple threat at All In. I think the match would be good.
But why do we need that?
But I don't know, and this is nothing against Danny Garcia. I'm a Danny Garcia guy. But I don't know that Danny Garcia is ready to be in a match with two dudes that are going to steal the show like that. But it could be a great coming out party for him on a huge stage. Because Danny Garcia is really good. I'm not taking anything away from Danny Garcia.
Yeah.
But Ospreay
I started to take issue at first.
But Ospreay and
fine.
Ospreay and MJF are Ospreay and MJF.
I think he'd be fine.
I think he will be too. But I could understand some people's reservation if the option was a triple threat. But I think that would just give a chance for Danny Garcia to break out. I think Danny Garcia is a couple good promos away from being in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. Well, that got to be consistently pushed, though, too.
Danny Garcia, I feel like, is one of the few that has been on TV consistently the past few months.
Yeah. But
ever since he got that last win in the last match at the Continental Classic, he's kind of had something going.
Yes. This happens constantly for him. Mm-hmm. He's on TV, then he disappears. Mm-hmm. He gets hot, disappears. Gets hot, disappears. That's what he does.
The nice thing that they're doing this time, though, is while he's off TV, he's at least still being mentioned.
Yeah.
That helps. If you're off TV, but at least you're being mentioned and referenced that helps.
Pro AEW when just a couple weeks ago you were cussing up a storm.
Because I can see where they're trying to turn it around.
I get that, yeah.
But and I think effort should be rewarded.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But according to statistics, this will happen though.
Oh, I'm not saying AEW is back by any stretch. Yeah. I'm just saying I see improvement. I think improvement should be noticed.
I completely agree.
So let's wrap things up with NXT. So I know that you're enjoying NXT right now because your boy Joe Hendry has become a featured player.
Yes.
And he mentioned on NXT that he's going to stick around for a while because Gallus told him to go back to Scotland, and he was like, no, I'm going to hang out for a minute.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people really wanted, on SmackDown, when they were building up Cody Rhodes as mystery partner, from a mile away, you could tell it was Kevin Owens.
Was it everybody or was it you?
No. I look at the comments online. Okay. There was a lot of people that were like,
I know you were hoping for that a lot.
I know most of the comments I saw online was the equivalent of my head knows it's going to be Kevin Owens, but my heart really wants it to be Joe Hendry. And Cody Rhodes would be the one to play the Joe Hendry card.
If they said his name, he would appear.
He would, and then the Bloodline would waste him.
Yeah.
But, which would be really funny, but it didn't happen that way.
If you've never heard of Joe Hendry, just listen to his entrance song.
Joe Hendry did an interview not too long ago where he said that he knew that his entrance theme would have to be something that would grab people. He knew it had to be good.
I mean, it grabbed me enough. I added it to my songs on Spotify.
If you listen to the interviews and stuff and look at it, Joe Hendry has done
what Danhausen did.
Joe Hendry's done a very good Danhausen impression with himself.
Yeah.
Not to the extent of what Danhausen's done, but to the Joe Hendry extent. Especially, I love that he bought the billboard outside of Clash at the Castle. That to me is just hilarious. And when you see the picture of the billboard, it's even funnier because it's just his normal standing there with the white background.
My favorite thing right now is to randomly come across Joe Hendry things on random sites or on random TikToks or Reels or something, and to just read the comments, and people are like, "Who is this guy? Why does he keep popping up? What is going on?" That's my favorite because he just does his dramatic turn in those videos, and people are like, "Who is this?"
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say, and I don't doubt it, that WWE is just counting the seconds until Joe Hendry's TNA contract expires and they could bring him over.
Yeah.
And I could see why, because he was responsible for one of their biggest social media views in recent weeks. And especially, they definitely want that exposure for NXT. That's only going to help NXT.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, because NXT is good enough to stand on its own and bring in its own numbers, but it's just, a lot of people aren't familiar with the talent in NXT.
The NXT thing's really fun.
It is. It is. We had the Rascals this week on NXT because of it. It is. It's a fun little... I just call it WWE's Forbidden Door. Yeah. It's kind of what they're doing. Yeah. And it's really fun. And they're doing it really well. Yeah. They're doing a really good job of integrating the talent in. On the NXT merger, as it's come to be called. Yeah. But a lot of good stuff happened on NXT this week. Obafemi and Duke Hudson put on a damn good match between the two of them in the main event. Yeah. Oba's still champ. He probably should be. I don't know at this point who's going to take the title off of Oba.
Oba's still champ.
My first thought would be like Joe Hendry, but I've seen a lot of people say that they want Joe Hendry to go after Ethan Page. Oh, but Ethan Page already has Trick Williams on his ass. Ora Mensa won't leave him alone. Granted, Ethan killed Noam Dar, so there's a reason Ora Mensa won't leave him alone. Yeah. But I think Ethan Page has plenty on his plate without having Joe Hendry come after him, too. Yeah. Which, by the way, Ethan Page carries that NXT title so well. It looks good on him. We'll put it that way. Yes. But if you've watched the channel, it's no surprise. We're Ethan Page people, so we're over the moon for him.
He's just such a nice guy.
He is. He is. There's a lot to look forward to on NXT. Yeah, Thea Hale's got her shot coming up against Roxanne. I don't think she has a snowball's chance in hell. Because I think they're saving Roxanne for Julia. And Roxanne even name-dropped Julia this week on NXT. So I do think that's the direction they're going to go. But the tag titles weren't featured this week, which was interesting. Because we got to keep that Nathan Frazier and Axiom story brewing. Because that's going to come to a head at some point.
Don't get ahead of yourself. NXT, they might not have a storyline continue every week. They kind of switch out storylines they talk about each week.
Yeah, which is kind of how they did it the old way when they had the hour-long show.
Yeah, so don't start to panic about that just because it's been 1 week.
I actually saw where people were commenting on how Level Up this week. Normally Level Up is a showcase of the rookies and stuff. Mm-hmm. But apparently Level Up this week had backstage segments, had story progression. So Level Up is starting to...
Level up.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. And there's a really funny clip that I saw with Rizzo from The Family.
You love Rizzo.
I do. Rizzo intrigues me. I want to know what... And I think it's because she has such a raspy voice. You look at her and you think she's going to be not that. I don't know really. But as she talks, she's just yeah, I don't know, Dawn. And it's whoa. I did not expect that voice to come out of her. But yeah, I say it every week. Give NXT a chance if you're not. It will take you a week or two to catch on. It did for us. I remember for us in the beginning, NXT was hard because we didn't know anybody. Yeah. But now that we've gotten to know them, it's been a lot easier to invest in. They're actually bringing an event somewhat close to us, so we're hoping to be able to go to. They're bringing Halloween Havoc to Hershey, PA, which is almost like a 4-hour drive, but you and I have both said we would love to go to an NXT show again.
Yeah. Especially, I love... Halloween time is my favorite time. So getting to do wrestling thing around my favorite season, my favorite holiday, okay.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
We already get to go to Salem. That's going to be such a fun month.
Yeah, oh, that's right. It is the same month. It's 3 weeks apart.
Such a fun month.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. So yeah, usual soapbox speech about NXT. Give it a chance if you're not. It's experimental. It's fun. They do random shit. Yeah, they do. They're running an angle with Brooks Jensen where he literally disrupted the show. So the idea was to go ahead and bring him in and let him fight, and he just keeps disrupting the show. What'd you think was going to happen? But it's fun to watch play out.
It is. I wish he was better with his acting skills.
Henry and Briggs.
Yeah, but I mean, it's. I mean, a lot of NXT, they're very robotic still. Yeah,
and I don't think it helped that they brought in Ethan Page, who is so natural on the mic. Trick Williams is pretty natural on the mic.
There are people that are good on the mic.
Yeah, they are. But when you put Ethan Page in a promo battle with somebody that's not...
Javon Evans is good, because he just seems very natural with his promos, but he uses all this hip lingo, and I'm 35, so I don't know what he's saying.
Javon Evans is too cool for you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That dude's going to be huge. He's only 20 years old.
Yeah.
And he's going to be huge. So that's going to do it for our show this week. Like I said, not a lot to talk about because we're kind of building to those shows and we're coming out of a couple big shows.
But it was still a good week.
It was. I didn't feel like it was a waste of time or that nothing happened.
Nothing.
But clearly WWE is saving some stuff for SummerSlam, which they should be. AEW has Blood and Guts coming up. They're going to save some stuff for All In. NXT has the Great American Bash in a couple weeks, which is on Sci-Fi, which is very strange. So if you are an NXT watcher, don't forget Great American Bash is on Sci-Fi for 2 weeks. But other than that, we will be back next week to discuss more. The week after, we won't be. We'll be taking a break the week prior to SummerSlam. So, find us on the socials at Married with Wrestling. Give us a like, comment, subscribe. It does help out the channel. Share any videos that you want to kind of spread those wrestling opinions. Otherwise, we will talk to you guys next week.
Later.